Marvel's X-Men return this summer with Days of Future Past, combining the original cast of mutant superheroes with the team from First Class. But what's this crazy time travel story all about anyway? Be warned, we've got spoilers from the comics here. Here's everything you need to know about X-Men Days of Future Past.
I hate to be demanding, but would one of y'all mind telling me what's going on?
To get to the origins of Days of Future Past, we have to travel back in time ourselves, to late 1980, when Uncanny X-Men number 141 and 142 were published. Created by longtime X-Men writer Chris Claremont and artist John Byrne, this two-part tale came during the team's classic run on the book. The story begins in the dystopian future of 2013. Most mutants and superfolk in general have been either killed or placed in internment camps by the all-powerful and quite gigantic robots, the Sentinels, who now rule North America. The sole surviving X-Men are Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, and Kitty Pryde, who's now all grown up and called Kate, as well as a wheelchair-bound Magneto, now working with his former foes. There's also a mysterious young telepath called Rachel, and her man Franklin Richards, who's of course the now adult son of Reed and Sue Richards. What, you didn't know he was a mutant?
Mutant and proud.
Not only are most superheroes and supervillains dead in this reality, but Claremont even makes a point of mentioning how Colossus and Kate's children were slaughtered by the Sentinels. But the mutants have a last-ditch plan, to use Rachel's mental powers to send Kate's consciousness back in time to 1980, into her teenage self's body, where she can hopefully effect the change needed to alter history and prevent that terrible future world from ever happening. In order to do that, Kate as Kitty has to convince the quote-unquote modern-day X-Men to prevent the assassination of Senator Robert Kelly. Mystique and her brotherhood of evil mutants are out to get him, and if the senator dies, it will set off a chain reaction of events which will cause mutant-kind's decimation. Of course, after a battle with the Brotherhood, the X-Men succeeded in saving Kelly, but since this story features an alternate future, there are plenty of grisly deaths to be had by the 2013 versions of the characters anyway. The cover of issue 142 probably sums it up best, even while overstating the matter. Now, from what we can tell, the movie will maintain the skeleton of this story, if not the specifics. Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, of course, is the one who takes center stage, replacing Kitty as the time-traveling mutant. And instead of visiting what we would consider the present day of the movie X-Men, he's going all the way back to the early days, where the younger Xavier and Magneto left off in X-Men First Class. Mystique is still out to kill a political figure, though it looks like it's Richard Nixon this time around, or a guy in a Dick Nixon mask anyway. And the future X-Men don't seem to be imprisoned as much as they are weary and desperate from decades of fighting the Sentinels. But to get back to the comics version for a second, in an ironic twist, later stories would reveal that the X-Men didn't actually prevent Kate Pryde's future at all, but just created an alternate timeline where their future would play out differently, which really sucked for Kate and the rest of her world. And yeah, is also really geeky and confusing.
What do you say? Give these geeks one more shot.
But at least it gave the writers some material to play with, like how it eventually turned out that the mysterious Rachel was actually the daughter of Cyclops and Jean Grey. She'd travel back in time too eventually, and join the X-Men before becoming a member of the British super team Excalibur, because they're in Britain so they have to be called Excalibur. In fact, it was actually Excalibur who finally ended the Sentinels' reign of terror in Rachel's original timeline. They reprogrammed the robots to protect all life on Earth, including mutants. As important a role as Rachel plays in this saga, there's no indication that she's in the movie, though the chance for a Fantastic Four crossover is tantalizing. Still, new mutants like Bishop and Blink, known for time travel and alternate reality stories, will make appearances. We'll see if the movie version of the X-Men have more luck erasing that future apocalyptic world than their comics counterparts did. But speaking of apocalypses, one thing is certain. Their story will continue with X-Men Apocalypse, which has already been announced for 2016. But first, get ready for Days of Future Past, which hits in the summer of 2014.